We are live, everyone. Hello, 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 everybody. Y'all?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Hello,
okay.
hello,
Hello.
hello.
Wait a minute. I think I'm in the room by myself. Wait a minute. Hello, 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 everybody.
Hey, hey,
Yeah,
what's going
hello. Happy
on?
Friday, everybody. It's good to
Happy
see everybody.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Okay, Lioness Experience. I'm sure you're thinking it looks a little different in here today, and it does. Millie the millionaire is on vacation. She is in Jamaica, so I am
Hey.
filling in for her in her role today. We are going to talk about addiction, but first, let's say hello to everybody. I'm going to start with our guest. Our guest is Mr. Anthony Hunt. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Thank you for being here. How you doing today, Akimi?
All is well. It's Friday. It was a beautiful day today. I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
Destiny, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing amazing.
Doing amazing. So who has something that's new today?
Well, what is new? Well, I would like to say I brag on myself a little bit. I did win an award yesterday, unexpectedly.
Awesome.
I'm just truly honored, and I'm blessed to be able to bless other people and work with other people. I went to a business event to support my fellow people that I know and business and everything. And it's like, I'm gonna go make sure I support everybody. And announced to me, they called my name for an award. I was like, oh yeah. And the award is exactly for what I do, growing people.
What is it
supporting people.
for?
Awesome.
Growing people, supporting people, bringing people into the business and being able to teach, guide, and direct.
So you mentor other people into real estate.
Real estate, I do.
Okay. Okay. So audience, did you hear that? If you're looking to become a realtor, Akimi is a mentor to usher you into the industry of real estate. She teaches classes on Wednesday.
Well, on some Wednesdays, I teach classes on kind of whatever's needed. I do teach those classes. I'm just so glad I come from education, so I'm glad I'm still able to use this platform to still be able to teach, and it doesn't even feel like work because I love what I do.
Because
I
you love
helping
what you
people.
do.
I love it.
That's great. That's great. Destiny, what's new for you?
Well, I finally got my LLC for my business.
Oh,
so I'm
congratulations.
super excited.
Awesome.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay,
ladies.
congratulations. What's the name?
D Wig Collection LLC.
D Wig Collection LLC.
Yes.
So you make wigs for people?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations, business
Thank you,
owner.
Thank you.
Sounds like a next week phone call for me.
I got you. Come get your wig, girl.
Now, Mr. Hunt, guest of honor.
Yes.
What's new for you?
Chance and a choice.
Yeah.
Chance and a choice.
Chance. and a
Every
choice.
single day I have a chance and a choice to
like
make
that.
the right choice on every chance I get.
Okay. Okay.
I like
Sounds
that.
like a new day of grace every day.
Every day.
I like
every
that.
day. I
Chance
like
and
that.
a choice.
Chance and a choice to make the right decision every
That's
day.
it. That's it.
Every day.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Love
well,
it.
we are going to jump right
Well, what's new
into
with
it.
you?
Oh, you're right.
Now, what's
What
new
about
with
me?
you?
What about me? Okay, well, I have been working on one of the largest contracts in Dallas, Texas for the field that I serve, serving kids free meals during the summer. And I was awarded the contract, and we have
Nice.
literally doubled in size.
Yes.
So I'm excited about it. It's gonna take a lot of work and
right.
dedication and commitment, but I'm about that life.
You hear me?
So
Yes.
I'm very, very excited about it.
That's a blessing. You get to feed more children as well as grow your business. That's a win-win-win.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes. I
Yeah.
get to help people and make a living all
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes, I love it. I
Yes.
love it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody. Congratulations, LLC.
Thank you.
Choice.
Yes.
Another day to make a better choice than yesterday.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay, well, let's jump right into it. Okay. Today we are going to talk about addiction. Addiction is something that everyone has encountered at some point, whether you experienced it directly. Whether you experienced it directly or you experienced it through a family member or friend, it is something that we have all encountered in life. So we are going to jump right into it. We have Mr. Hunt here. He is a licensed addiction counselor of 20 years, as well as a pastor that is working on his doctorate degree. So he definitely has some expertise to share with us. So let's start out with what is addiction? Switch the camera. Mr.
Well,
Hunt, what is addiction?
It's anything that you feel as if though you can't live without. Something that you've lived without before. But once you got a taste of it, it's addictive. You do anything to get it, to have it.
To have it.
It could be pop. It could be chips. It doesn't necessarily have to be drugs or alcohol. It could be a woman, various things people are addicted to. And the addiction it becomes a bad thing when you consume with it.
When you're consumed with
you
it.
consume with it. That's all you think about.
Okay. Is it.
That's when you know it's an addiction.
So let's talk about some of the common addictions. This is one that's big on my list, is the addiction to the phone. Okay. I think we all in this day and age have just out of habit become addicted to the phones. I have a Note 20 and it has something on it called digital well-being.
Oh, wow.
And it sent me a message one day that said I was on the phone 2 hours less than I was last week. And so I was thinking, well, 2 hours less? How much was I on the phone the week before? And so it showed me that in an average day, I was on the phone 7 to 8 hours out of the day.
Oh, wow.
That's too much.
Oh, wow.
So I have now set timers on my phone I got 45 minutes to be on Facebook and Instagram, and I got 4 hours total in the course of the day to be on my phone. And when that time is up, the apps are locked out. It gives me a reminder, and that is how I am reversing this phone addiction. Because if you think about how much, if you spend 6 hours on the phone a day, that's more than half your day that you spent on the phone.
Right.
So I'm just trying to redirect that energy into something else.
Absolutely. I think addictions are, and I guess that would, how do you know that you have an addiction? Because when it comes to the phone, I'm not a big phone person. Like, I'd rather not talk on the phone. Yeah. I have no problem allowing my phone to ring and not even look at it. My phone don't have to go to the bathroom with me. My phone doesn't have to go in every room I go. My phone, my phone can be upstairs and I can be downstairs watching TV, especially when I'm on that off mode. You know what I mean? It's like, especially when I know where everybody's where they're supposed to be,
Right.
such as my kids. But how do you know if something is an addiction? And then I know you kind of referenced if you got to have it, but how do you know you got to have it until you don't?
That's a good question. How do you know you got to have it until you don't?
Well, I tell people to think about where you were before this gadget.
Yeah.
I know I was alive when cell phones first came out. When we
Yeah, I
didn't
remember
have
that.
cell
You
phones.
had the little flip.
When we
I had a pager.
Nokia.
Pagers. But even before pagers, you had payphones.
Oh, you went
know,
back with that.
Yeah. Yes.
And my whole thing is when I left the house, my mother always told me to call me when you get to where you're going. So that's what I did. And back then we were disciplined to go exactly where we told our parents we were going. We didn't need this. So now, fast forward, this comes out. So now you got all these couch potatoes.
Yeah.
Now you got all these children who rather set up on their games
Yep.
and talk to the game or the people on the phone, texting back and forth instead of having
People
dinner,
interaction.
So you don't have that anymore.
Correct.
I've been out to several different restaurants and I've seen families and everybody looking down at their phone.
Everybody
is
sitting at the
crazy.
table on their phone.
What's the sense in being out at dinner, a family dinner, when everybody is
On the phone.
unattached?
Right.
Unattached.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I shared with y'all earlier, I heard part of what made me conscious of this is I saw a clip of Prince, and he said, use the internet, don't let the internet use you. And I realized that when I spend 6 hours on the day and sometimes I'm just scrolling on Instagram and Facebook, it's using me. I'm not using
Right.
it. So just in an effort to redirect that energy, it's something that I think we should all be conscious of because it's a device that we all have
Right.
that we do every day without thinking about it. So be conscious of how much time you really spend on your phone. Like I won't download TikTok because I know
Don't
the
do it.
addiction that everybody else tells me about.
Especially late at night, that
Yeah.
thing can have you up until
You are
3
not
in the
going to
morning.
go to sleep scrolling on TikTok.
At
Yeah.
all, which is crazy. But it does go into the people interaction. You know what I mean? Because even nowadays, people don't know how to
They
interact
don't know
with
how
other
to communicate.
people. And then also, if it's like an addiction, is there such thing as a good addiction? Like you said, using the phone as a resource, but then you can also use the phone as where it's not necessarily positive because you're looking at other people's lives and then you're comparing it to yours, and now you're in a depression and you're not living up. Or
Right.
and it's,
Right.
it's just all a fairy tale. It's just a dream.
Yeah.
It's all a dream.
And what you see on the internet is not real.
Right, right.
You know, it's kind of like the housewives of Atlanta and all this and that and the other. Most of the women aren't housewives at all.
They don't
I
even
say
have a
they
husband.
ex-wives.
They don't even have
They
husbands.
ex-wives.
You know, or
So
the
I mean,
basketball wives,
right,
right.
right. And then not only that, but how many sisters walk around in $1,000, $2,000 gowns throwing drinks on each other? You know,
None.
I mean,
None I hang
you
with.
know,
What I'm saying,
but
I
see,
wish you
that's what I'm
would.
saying. But that's my whole point.
Yeah.
People look at this and they think it's reality, and it's not.
It's not.
You know,
It's
and
not.
I'm not going to sit up here and allow this thing to occupy my time, to take space in my head, and make me wonder, well, why should I? Where should I be in my life? And this and that,
Right.
just because I'm looking at somebody else.
Right.
I mean, if I spent more time concentrating on the gifts that God has given me,
See, that's the word
that-
right
say
there.
that again.
If I
Man.
spend more time concentrating
Try-
on the gifts
that's
that
it.
God has given me,
Giving
man,
who?
and building
You hear me?
exactly, and building those and cultivating those, then I wouldn't have any time for this. My pastor, Dr. Malone, always said, he said, I'm going to spend 6 months minding my business and 6 months leaving everybody else's alone.
Ha, I love that.
And that includes what's on his cell phone.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's a good way to look
Yeah.
at it.
that includes what's on the cell phone. Why am I gonna sit up here and be on this phone scrolling, looking at different idiotic things that people do for laughs or for likes, and that's the whole thing. People are interested in likes.
Right.
They searching for likes.
Right. So do you think that if they're searching for likes, we're putting it that way, is that an attention seeker, you believe? Mm-hmm. That would be an attention
And that's an
seeker.
addiction.
So it's just like
So
gratification.
seeking attention is an addiction.
Man, look, it's women on here, you know, old women doing the little gyrating dances and stuff.
You went back to
Good
gyrating.
knees, good knees, good knees.
You know, but my whole point is that, you know, what you put on the internet, and I tell my daughters this all the time, what you put on the internet is there forever.
Ever, yeah. Yeah.
You don't think you're going to grow up?
Yeah.
You don't think a man is going to come along and want to marry you? You don't think that something is going to happen in your life positive to where they're going to look and search in the internet and you up in there and you half dressed, and
Yeah.
it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
I don't think people realize that attention seeking is an addiction.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I don't think that's something they realize. Okay, let's talk about a few more addictions.
Yep.
Okay, we got work, we got food, we got porn. Where you want to start?
Work for me.
Work. Okay, let's talk about work addictions.
So I'm addicted to success.
Oh, me too.
So I'm a grinder, and I go and go and go, and nonstop. I get up at 3:30 every morning. I'm at the shop at 5. I have my laptop with me, so I'm working on sermons. I'm working on my paper. I'm working on Sunday school lessons. I'm communicating with people who want suits. I'm setting up different catering events and so on and so forth. So I am addicted to success,
Okay,
and I won't stop.
and you won't stop.
Nah.
Do you think that it'll ever reach a point to where you are satisfied where you are, that you've reached the goal that you're trying to get to?
I'll be there when I'm able to get up when I want to. And if I want to go to work, I will. If I don't, I won't.
I know that's right. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I say, you know, when people say, oh, I want to retire, I get it. You know, I do. I can't, you know, I'm on a retirement plan now. You know, I've like 8.5 years now since I said I had a 10-year plan. So 8.5 years I got to go till I can fully retire. But retirement for me is not working. It's not having to work.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
what I'm talking
there's
about.
a difference.
It's a choice.
It's a choice, right. So when we talk about addictions and you're talking, let's say work, we're using something as work because people may not say, oh, that's an addiction, that is a problem, you know. how many people come to you with such addictions, such as, let's say, work? Oh, I have a work addiction, or I have a soft drink addiction, those type of addictions. How many people get help for those type of things that are not
normally
affecting
don't.
other people?
Right. They normally don't. And that's the thing until if it's a soft drink, it's a couple of things that happen. When your teeth is getting ready to fall out, or the doctor say you need to get up off the caffeine, you start having nervous twitches and stuff like that. So something like that happens. But as far as addictions, when it comes to work, I haven't met too many people like me in terms of just driven.
Right.
Oh, you sitting in the room with two of them.
Well, yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I said. That's why I said I
Yeah.
haven't met too many people. That's just driven. Some people are satisfied with where they are. Well, I got this and I got the house. Well, the
That's
house
nice.
is cool, the car is cool, but I want more than that.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
I believe that what the Word of God says, that a father leaves an inheritance for his children.
True.
Yes.
So that's what I'm building. I'm building something for my children, my grandchildren, where if they don't want to work, they won't have to.
Yes. Yes.
And that's my goal. That's why I grind so hard. And I don't have too much longer to do it. I'm 55 years old. So I got to stay on the grind. There's no time to slow down.
And how long have you been an addiction counselor?
20 years.
Okay, in
Yeah.
those 20 years of being a counselor, working with a lot of people that may have addictions, what would you say, in your opinion, has been one of the strangest addictions someone's come to you? We know about drugs, we know about the things that we find as an addiction,
Right.
but what would be one of the strangest things someone's come to you and say, hey, I'm addicted to this and I need help?
Man, I can't say one or the other is more stranger than the other. One person was just addicted to women.
That's a lot of men.
But that's a lot of
And
men.
they don't even realize it.
But see, that's the whole thing. And he and I would talk all the time, and I would explain to him that it takes a lifetime for one man to satisfy one woman. That's the truth. They talk about, what they're doing sexually. And I have to explain to them, stop lying to yourself. Because that woman can have an 8, 9, 10-pound baby. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So, we have to stop, and think it's really more for them. It's not even the women per se. It's an ego trip for the fella.
So it's something more to it than
Yeah.
just the women. It's something
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
getting from something
Well,
that they need from that interaction.
Well, see, they have this old silly thing that a man, if he conquers all these women, he's known as a player or the man. But if a woman does that same thing, she's known as a,
Yes.
Yes.
And my whole thing is that's not true.
Yeah.
It's messy.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a man, true men stick with one. That's it. They don't need a whole bunch. Just one.
And I think when it does come to, and not just speaking intimately or sexually, just since we were talking about men that want to be with a lot of women or feel like they're satisfying a lot of women and
But they're
buying
not.
things, and, I think it's for them to make them feel,
Right.
lack of a better word, big and tall and
Right.
strong. I'm
right.
the man,
And
conqueror.
And I
of it
can
all.
say I used to be that guy. But man, it's expensive.
It's expensive for
First
just
of all,
one.
it's expensive to run around here taking this one out to dinner, taking that one out to dinner, and this and that and the other. It's expensive trying to please this one and trying to please that one, and they using you just like you using them. You see,
For
so it's
something.
empty. It's
Something.
empty.
Yeah.
For something.
A whole bunch of emptiness. I'm unsatisfied. She unsatisfied. And then it comes down to, you might get something put on you that Ajax can't get off.
Ooh.
I mean, you have to watch yourself, especially out here where everybody's just free fall.
So let's
I
talk
don't-
about sex addiction.
I'm gonna say real quick, if everybody doesn't know what Ajax is,
Yeah. Right. Hey, man, I did
know
go.
what Ajax is. Girl.
Okay. Well,
It is soap, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
Dish detergent, baby.
I like that.
He went back with that
Yeah, I had
one.
to
Man.
go back.
We use Palm Olive and Gain
Right.
You didn't clean the house with nothing but some Clorox,
You
some
know what I'm
Pine
saying?
Sol.
and some
Yeah.
Ajax.
And then Ajax.
That's right. I just wanted to clarify.
Man.
Like, what disease is that? No, that's a soap.
I apologize. I'm showing my age right now.
And like she was segueing into sex addiction.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add a question to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a sex addiction, how do you overcome a sex addiction? And how do you even know it's an addiction versus I just like it?
Right.
Well,
that's a good
everybody
question.
like it, but it's how much you like. If you have to have it several times a day, several times a week, that's all
Every 3
you
weeks?
consume. See, when you know it's an addiction, I don't care what it is. It's an addiction when that's all you thinking about.
Now, is that
when
an
it's
addiction
consuming you.
if it's your spouse, or is it an addiction when you're bed
Single.
hopping?
Yeah, is it an addiction when it's your spouse?
Too much of anything is bad.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you are married,
I mean, get it in. I'm not saying don't. Handle your
it's going to be
business.
some confusions in some houses tonight.
Love. But
Pastor
you got to
Hunter
take a
said-
rest.
It has to be in moderation.
Yeah, you got everything is in decency and in order.
Yeah.
There's a time and place
There's
for
a
everything.
time and place for everything.
Okay.
And that's okay if you want to be with your spouse like that. Yeah, that's cool. If y'all want to do it every night, just so long as you doing it with her.
Okay.
You know.
Oh,
That's
that's
your
me.
phone.
That's a playback.
I'm like, what?
Well,
Right.
now when you have something like, let's just say a drug addiction, I know I don't know a lot of drugs. I don't have a drug of choice, I should say, but I was
Let's
reading
talk about weed.
heroin.
Let's talk about weed. Because weed has been normalized
Yep.
through music and television in the African American community.
Yeah.
Okay, the movie Friday did so much detriment to the black community
Yeah.
because everybody wants to smoke and get high on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about a weed addiction. First of all, is weed, because some people who
marijuana.
have Yeah.
Back in the day, I'm going to go back in the day when they actually called it reefer.
reefer. Oh, well, let me tell you what they call it now. They call it Kush. Let's
Yeah,
do it right now. They call it Kush.
Kush and all this other stuff. The embalming, lacing it with cocaine and this and that and the other. So
I think
all
the
of that's
pastor
addiction.
and Miss Lady, they know too much. I don't even know what
all of that's addictive. Yes.
All of that's addictive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people who have that addiction don't believe that marijuana is an addiction. So
It is
what
when
do you say to those people?
Well, it is when you walking around smelling like, you wearing it like cologne. You do it so much and you've done it so much that you don't think anybody else smell it. And they don't realize that reefer is so strong and potent, it gets into your bloodstream. And when it gets into your bloodstream, it gets into your hair. I have clients who come to the shop and I'm cutting their hair and that's all I can smell. And I'm like,
Coming through their hair?
it comes through the hair follicles. Yes.
Oh, you mentioned you was a barber.
Yes.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Master
barber
stylist.
Yeah.
Oh, I did hear that part.
Yeah, I've been
Okay.
doing that
Okay.
for
When you
years,
said
but-
stylist, I'm thinking your
Yeah,
suits.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So how do you overcome whether it's a weed addiction, whether it's a heroin or whatever people, heroin, crack cocaine, whatever people those drugs that seem to be so addictive, or even the what are the pills and stuff that
Exos.
moms take? They say moms. I mean, soccer moms. What is that? The pills.
What they call them?
Xanax.
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 So,
Xanax,
such as even the pills and things like that. How is there a process to overcome these addictions for each different type of addiction? And I say that because I did read something that says once you're an addict, you will always be an addict.
That's not true.
Okay.
So here it is. Once they come to me, I deal with the spiritual and mental part of it.
Okay.
They have to go get treatment.
Okay.
Treatment what treatment is they're given drugs to combat what they've been on. Okay, to kind of like
Ease you
Kinda
off.
ease
of
you
it.
off of
Okay.
whatever the narcotic is that you were addicted to.
Okay.
Okay, so they have to go get that treatment first.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you go to these addiction places, facilities, they have medical staff on site to treat you, to get you off of that stuff. Okay, to reverse the effects.
So what if it's something that's not like sexual addiction? I mean, they're not going to give you some and then wean you off.
Nah. Well, again, there's places like that for sexual addiction. And yeah, and you know,
Wow.
they go off up in there, and it's like they got to get that monkey off their back.
I'm intrigued.
You know,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, it's the same. You have to make a choice. Once the person, see, first of all, first things first, you have to admit who you are before you can get help. Once you've done that, once you've identified yourself as this, now I can go get help. But as long as you, like, I don't have an addiction, everybody else see you drunk at 8 o'clock in the morning and you looking for another beer. Or you come home at 4, 5 in the morning and you still cracked out and you looking for another bump.
And I guess that's like, I guess one of the questions we have too is how often during the last year have you been unable to remember what happened the night before because of a substance or behavior?
Man, if it's
That means
something,
that would be an addiction if you can't
that's
remember.
an addiction. That's right.
You know, to be transparent right now, I have a family member who is in the hospital about to pass away, and it all started with a drug overdose that turned into a stroke that now has caused his kidneys to fail.
Yeah.
And so now
they don't realize that.
and now he's in hospice.
Yeah.
So the nature of addiction hits home very close
Hard.
and personal for me.
Yes.
And when I think about how you talk about going to get treatment, right? In the African American community, that's not something that's always readily
No, it's not.
available
No, it's
and
not.
accessible. One, that's a very expensive tab, and that's a tab that a lot of us don't have.
That's right.
So what do you say to people who can't afford a treatment center? Where do they start to get help?
That's why I'm working so diligently to get my office opened up, because in African American, so there's facilities for women and children, but there's not facilities for men. And the men are the ones really hurting because they think we supposed to be strong, or if we cracked out, look at the crack, But you have a different opinion if you see a woman with a child.
Right.
You see, your heart goes out to them. So my whole aim is to open up an office to where I am dealing with men, and I'm giving them an outlet, and I'm helping them kick the habit, whatever the habit is. I'm helping them do that. And then not only that, they're not being judged. That's another thing, Man, I got this problem, but I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be looked upon as weak. I don't want to be looked upon as less than a man.
I tried to find us a guest, and I looked high and low, that would come on the show that had a prior addiction, that would share their testimony about becoming clean. Even though these people were clean for years, they didn't want the judgment.
Right.
They didn't want to come on
see, that's what
and
I'm
share
saying.
their
Right.
share their story.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
what are some of the techniques used in getting a person to open up about their addiction?
Well, first and foremost, what I do is, like I was saying earlier before we started, I like to get to know the person.
Right.
You build a repertoire with them. You get to know them. You ask them questions about how they grew up, what they like to do, their family, their background. That tells you everything you need to know about them. And then once you get to that, you ask them, okay, so what is it that makes you happy the most? I mean, what is the best? What is the one thing in the world that makes you happy? That really gets you, that really motivates you. And they when they open up and tell you that, then you can ask the question, okay, so how did you get here in front of me? What happened?
Right, and that's what my other question would be.
Yeah.
What made you turn to drugs?
Well, see, I have a partner. We played ball in school together, and he was dealing with a young lady, and he never done drugs, and he tried heroin one time, and was hooked.
Wow.
And all praise be to God, he's doing well. He kicked that habit years ago. He's been clean. He's doing well, but not before he hurt people that he loved.
Right.
Because when you addicted to something, you're not thinking about the people you love or that love you.
Right.
All you thinking about is what you after. May it be that drink, may it be that bump. That's all you thinking about. So you'll break into mom and dad's house and you'll steal stuff.
So it would be fair to say that an addiction is a effect. There's something that caused it first, and it may be something that's mental, emotional, or something that happened in your life. Something could be tragic.
In some
A
cases,
trigger.
A trigger.
Yeah, in some
Yes.
cases, because I know when I was working at a certain place, I dealt with 18 to 25-year-olds, and we grew up and everything. And one of the guys said, "Well, you know, my trigger was I see this movie, and it triggers me to go and use, because that's when me and my girlfriend broke up, and that was our favorite movie, and this and that and the other." And I said, "Well, that's an excuse." And I explained to him, excuses are monuments of nothingness, and those who dwell in them seldomly do anything else. So if you spend your life making excuses about why you're doing something negative, you're never going to overcome what you're doing negative. You have to take the power away from the addiction.
That's that restrain and constraint.
Exactly.
Now, before we got on camera, you gave us the definition between constraint and restrain. What is that?
Restrain is when something is holding you back, something or someone is holding you back. For instance, let me get biblical with you. The law can restrain you. You understand? But it can't change you.
All right. I like that.
See, I can be restrained from something because I know that I'll go to jail. But that doesn't change who I am on the inside.
Correct.
That's why prisoners go to prison, criminals, and they come out better criminals, because all the law did was convicted them of what they did wrong. It did not give them the cure.
It didn't rehabilitate them.
Didn't rehabilitate them.
Okay.
So
Look at it
when
like that. That's all
so
right.
when you constrain, now I'm studying, I'm applying myself, I'm getting help, somebody's tutoring me, and not only that, but I've placed myself in God's hands. And once I place myself in God's hands, once I'm cured from this, I'm no longer that. When
Yes.
God delivers you from something, you are no longer that. Ain't no X nothing.
Right. Okay.
I'm delivered. That's what it is. So that's constrained. Even if I'm by myself and there's crack cocaine set right there, I'm constrained from doing that because I know where I come from. And I know one more bump could just send me into a cardiac arrest.
Correct.
And kill me.
Correct.
You know, unfortunately, that's what happened to Ricky Smiley's son.
Oh, I
You know,
wonder what happened to
They
him.
said it was an OD.
It was an OD, you know, and my
What's
whole
considered
thing.
an overdose?
Overdose.
Well,
What is considered an overdose?
When you have one too many bumps.
you consume
know,
too many drugs
yeah.
at
It can
one
be
time.
too many, or it can be a
Or-
bad drug.
Yeah.
Bad drugs.
Or
yeah.
it's just that one time where your heart can't take it anymore.
Can't take it
Because
anymore.
cocaine speeds the heart rate up. It makes that heart muscle beat faster. That's why it wears it out. And people don't realize that drug, it kills you. It not only addicts you, it kills you slowly, just like alcohol. Your kidneys, your liver is the body's filtration system. Everything goes through there. So if you putting all this harsh alcohol in it, just imagine, the thing you put in the dryer. Help me out.
Dry
Dry
sheet.
sheet.
Well, not the dryer sheet, but the thing that
The lint.
catches the dust, the lint catcher.
The lint catcher.
So you don't clean that lint catcher, that dryer,
It's not gonna work.
it's not gonna work.
Right.
Them
It's
clothes
gonna
gonna go
slowly
in
fail.
wet,
Right,
and they
right.
gonna come out cold and wet.
Right.
The dryer's not gonna heat up, and you're like, man, well, you gotta clean the vent.
Yeah.
So that's what the liver and the kidneys do. They clean it. But if you keep on putting all this harsh stuff in there, guess what? They're gonna fail you pretty soon. So you actually killing yourself slowly when you own these drugs, when you drinking this alcohol.
Can we talk about, and this is really for those of us who have young kids, the pill popping. Like they don't really realize that that's an addiction, but in this 16 to 25 era, pill popping is something that's very serious. I just read a story about someone the other day who she thought she was taking Percocet and she was really taking something else and she died. Right?
And
So
then you
are the
have that
pills
in-
addiction?
Yeah, and you have that in these rap songs that Percocet and then they I think it's down in
Sure
Florida.
is.
They talking about sipping on. They
Percocet.
talking about sipping on some scissor.
Sister.
And it's
Codeine.
Yeah,
I learned about that syrup
it's
like
liquid.
2 years ago. I was like, syrup.
It's like
Syrup.
liquid.
Juice,
It's liquid
whatever.
codeine. That's what's certain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sipping on some scissor, and I mean,
I know a little bit.
You know,
from my younger day.
they're glorifying this stuff.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? They glorifying this stuff, and they making this stuff cool. And these young kids, dumb as doorknobs, doing all this stuff, thinking they hip, thinking they, I'm down and this and that and the other, and all they doing is hurting themselves.
Well, if we know there's a lot of addictions that a lot of people have, in your opinion, why wouldn't there be services for these addictions that are not as pricey, especially in our community? Because I know a lot of people turn to drugs to get away from their reality.
It's their escape.
And I can understand. I'm not saying I would do that, or, what I'm saying? I'm not making excuses, but I can understand in certain people's situation why you would want to, hey, I don't want to do
escape.
This escape, right?
Well,
So if we know that this is something that is a need, why don't we have facilities or something available to our young people to be able to get help?
Same reason you don't have liquor stores in rich neighborhoods.
Correct.
Wow,
Because
that's true.
So this is on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a system here that's systematically, diabolically trying to destroy
African
the
American
black
community.
man, the black woman, the black family. Just like public aid, the father can't be in the house
We talked about that.
We
if
did
you
talk
gonna
about
give
Yeah.
this family help.
help. Find out. Yeah.
See,
Now,
and
isn't that reverse?
it is.
You taking the breadwinner out of the house so you can give them a few dollars that's not going to equal to what the breadwinner is bringing in the first place. That's backwards. But it's a system set up to destroy the black community.
Right.
But now we're educated. We're moving into these different places. And I just want to say again, look at where you see liquor stores.
In the
Right,
hood,
but see, you
on
have
every
to-
corner.
You have to know what you just said is key. See, when it was a crack epidemic, there was no concern. But now that there is an opioid epidemic and it's
concern.
affecting Caucasians, there is a concern.
Well, see, it's they don't want to tell you, but it's been affecting Caucasians since forever, because even when the crack first came out, they were the ones who were able to afford the drug. So they would come to the quote unquote hood, get their fix, and go on back to Beverly Hills or wherever they lived. They were the ones able to, afford it. That's why you see black folk running around here in the night trying to rob, and man, here's a style chair, brand new, and
Oh, what?
they be trying
the
to
crackhead
sell
be
you
selling
everything.
you
They
any and
open their
everything.
jacket up, they got everything in there.
they show up selling you everything,
Wow.
But the point of the matter is that we have to look at it on a whole, the big picture. And we know this epidemic is geared towards us. So now all of a sudden, you done put all these brothers in prison for selling reefer,
Now it's legal.
gunjai. Now you want to make it legal. So let all these brothers out that you done gave 20, 30 years for
Right.
selling reefer.
Right.
It's legal.
I agree. I
So let them out.
I agree to that.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but now he's a crackhead, send him to prison, give him 20, 30 years. So now it's hitting the white dynamic, and it's hitting these Beverly Hills, these up-to-do white folk. And now, we need more treatment centers.
Right.
So now you want to introduce all the treatment centers when it's them versus us. And then they have this thing out here talking about we are minority. We have always been the majority all
Say
over
that
this
again.
planet. And we're
Say
not
it again.
African Americans. We are world black people. We are all over the place. We are indigenous to the whole entire planet. Every nationality has black in it. And if you look at the artifacts of every nationality on the planet,
I was
they have
hearing
black
something about
artifacts.
that actually.
That's
this
the
morning
truth.
On YouTube.
That's the
My
truth.
lady saying, or Caucasian, let me be politically
Yeah.
correct, but that everybody's got some black in them.
Everybody. Every
A black woman is the only woman who is the only woman who can produce a dark skinned child and a albino child. We are the only ones who
That's
can
it.
produce that.
black folk,
Amazing.
period. Black women, black men, we're the only ones that can mix with any other race
And dominate.
and dominate.
Dominate.
White man can't mix with anything and dominate.
Yeah.
That baby not gonna come out white. And the whole and it's not about a racial thing, but it is a racial
but
It
thing.
is because
Because-
drugs were put in our community
Exactly.
to destroy. It was
Exactly.
planted in the 70s to
That's all I'm
destroy
saying.
our community.
So-
and so
so-
you have to know what game is being played.
That's all I'm
So
saying.
you know how to play it.
That's all I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be the long-term effects of drugs and or an addiction?
We as a people need to come together and take care of our own. We don't need them for nothing. We are self-sufficient. If you look at all the Black Wall Streets, the one in Oklahoma, in Florida, in Dallas, in Chicago, there were many Black Wall Streets. There were many black communities doing their thing. And even back then, they don't have the education that we have now.
Wow, that's true.
They didn't have the resources that we have now. There is absolutely no reason in the world that we should have to depend on anyone else for our survival when we've been here. We're the first ones here. We're the original man. We created this.
I agree with you.
Let me tell y'all something I live by. People ask me all the time, what made me start my own business 14 years ago. I read a quote that said, "It is a crime for black people to continue to have children and send them into a white man's world to
Right.
ask for a job."
Exactly.
And it resonated with me in a way
Yes.
that I was like, how you said, my children, my grandchildren, if they don't want to work for nobody, they can if they want to, but they
have
don't
options.
have, they don't
They don't
have
have
to.
to.
Yeah.
And we do have to provide those options, not to get off task, but you have to be able to provide those options for, and when I say our children, I mean our children.
Our
Not just
children.
Not just
mine,
the ones you
our-
gave
that's
birth
what
to.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Our children.
Because, I am passionate about, our communities. I would love to be able to engage and do more to be able to bring that Black Wall Street to our community to where we do have our own. I'm not one that dislikes a lot of other things. I don't agree with a lot of other things. I wish I was grew up and planted in me to be able to walk in my own. You know what I mean? And to be able to grow my children to walk on their own, to be able to build communities so we can all walk on our own. But I do know that even in our communities, I have seen addiction and drugs, being very transparent. My biological father, that's something that was a struggle, you know what I'm saying? And I've not met him, know him, but I know that was a struggle, and it's a whole bunch of reasons why.
And that's part of what kept him out of your life.
A lot of it.
Yeah, that's what kept
a
him
lot
out of your
it,
life.
And I didn't know that until I was older. But, it destroys homes, like you were saying.
It does.
Destroys families, and it destroys a person because now you're at your lowest when you need somebody, but there's nobody that wants to be there for you
No,
now. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, how do you bridge that gap? How do you know how to help somebody they don't know if they even need help?
Well, that's a good one. Because first and foremost, again, before anyone can get help,
They got to
have
know they need
They
it.
have to know they need it.
Wow.
So see, sometimes, you're not going to be able to help everybody.
Right.
We can't save everybody.
Right.
I understand that. I'm not naive enough to think that, man, I'm going to be the savior. I'm Superman, and I'm going to go out here and save every last person. Because some people like being homeless. Some people like sleeping up under the stars. That's just what they like to do. I just learned that a lot of these homeless people
It's a choice.
getting checks.
Yeah. Food stamps and everything. I learned that the other
Man,
day too.
I'm like,
last month. I
really?
was like, they get food stamps? But
I'm
that's
like,
stuff.
with no address, but I mean, some
I
of
didn't
them
know
got
they
P.O.
did that either,
boxes.
right?
So I mean, you learn something new every day. So it's a choice, but some of them don't have a choice. Like this young lady, Caucasian, she grew up hard, rough. I just learned this because I just saw her yesterday morning. Stopped by the gas station. I always get some hot tea in the morning, and I said, well, with the hot tea you get a muffin. I said, well, give her my muffin. She's like 20 some years old and she's homeless, and she works at Taco Bell down the street, but
Oh wow.
she doesn't make enough money to
Right.
have 3 times the rent, like they
Right.
say out
Like
here.
they say you're supposed to
you
have.
know, but that's just
That's a setup too.
that's just a farce as well, because the whole thing is if they really want to help people, they would. The United States, I live here, but this country is garbage.
Yeah,
because
it's
of the way
amazing
they-
to me. We
It's
can send money.
capitalism.
Yeah.
We, you know, it's a whole nother. But it's amazing to me how
Truthfully.
you want to send what is it called, $1 a day
Yeah.
to feed children, and I get it. I want to feed the children. I do.
But what
But
about
then
the
we got
babies
children
right
here
here?
in my backyard. That's
What about
hungry,
right?
you know?
You sending people over to, you sending money. You want to send all this money over to Africa and this and that and the
I'm
other.
saying it's
Okay,
$1 a
I
day.
get that. But
these kids.
what about the babies right here? And then you got, just give. You got the dog sitting out in the cold, the dog shivering
Now that one thing, I
outside.
ain't seen nobody
Chained,
no dog.
chained to the tree. You got all these commercials about these pets and everything. Abused cats and all they want to do is be loved. Well, you know what? Guess what? It's a whole lot of babies out here who need love.
I just look at it.
You know.
What is it? It's not even $1. I think it's like 79 cents a day.
But I'm just saying how they pushing all this
But you're
other
right.
stuff.
But you look at our community right
here.
Right here. Somebody can barely pay
Right.
rent.
That's
They can't
why-
keep their lights on.
But see, in our community, we have to realize that we make the
Help
world
not coming.
number one, help not coming. Okay, the revolution will not be televised.
No.
and two, we literally have all the resources that
We
we
do.
need. I told y'all my scripture of the week this week was Psalms 23:1. I will never forget it. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd; I lack nothing." So if you have the
I shall not want.
mindset
That's right.
that you lack nothing, that means all the resources that we need to generate whatever we need for our community, we already have it.
We do, though.
We lack unity. We lack
Well,
unity.
And then not only that, and I'm coming again from a biblical standpoint. I work hard every day. No one is giving me anything. I know several pastors who work hard every day. No one is giving them anything. They work a job and put money that they work off their job into the church. So I want people to stop thinking that the pastor or the preacher is taking all the money. No, if we were taking all the money, you wouldn't have a building to come and worship in. You wouldn't have heat in the winter. You wouldn't have air in the summer. You wouldn't have lights. You wouldn't have anything if we were taking all the money. There's no such thing as that. Not only that, but we have to get back to community. We have to get back to what we were doing before, when I'd be around the block and this woman knew my mama.
right.
And my mama would know what I did
Before
Before you
got
before I
got
even got home.
That's right.
And she'd be at the door waiting
Ready.
for me. And I used to think my mother was magic,
and we are.
because I'm like, how mama know
We know.
what I did 2-3 blocks from here? But mama knew so-and-so.
Yes.
My mother wouldn't let me go anywhere if she didn't know my friends and know who their parents were,
And it was a difference then, too.
and knew who they, where they reside.
You could literally go outside
Yeah.
several blocks from your radius,
Man,
unless you weren't allowed to leave the
that's
yard
right.
that day. And it wasn't no cell phones.
Nah.
Call me, check in.
But everybody
But
was safe.
everybody-
Could nobody come in our neighborhood and
Right.
snatch no kid
Oh no.
and run off? Oh, no.
Right.
You wouldn't make it down the block.
But now, shoes, you gotta be.
But now, it's like, you better not say that. You know good and well your baby bad as a mug. And I'm
Right.
bringing him over here, holding him by his ear, telling you what he done, but you want to jump on me.
right.
So that segue me into something I posted this week, that a lot of addictions are learned behaviors from our parents.
All day
I
long.
think so.
Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all something.
Like
me
lying.
And, me and
Like
my
eating
son.
all the food on your plate.
I was just finna tell you that me and Ajalon had this conversation the other day, because y'all know I'm on this weight loss journey, and one of the things that I've become conscious of is that I have a food addiction. Okay, and it's not that I necessarily want it because I'm hungry. It's just I'm eating out of the habit of eating. So me and my 21-year-old son was talking, and he was talking about his experience with food. You know, as a kid, your mama told you, so I told mine. You eat everything on your
That's on
plate.
your
Don't
plate.
leave this table
Right,
until you
right.
eat everything on your plate. But you might be full before you eat everything on your plate. But that forcing them to eat everything on their plate has added to our
Yes.
children having food addictions,
Yes.
right? And so I learned that behavior from my parents, who learned it from their parents, and I taught it to my son. So now we're 4 generations in trying to break something that we learned from our parents ahead of us.
Man,
And you're absolutely right. What I think, because I've had this conversation prior to, and it's like when I was married, you know, I enjoyed cooking. I love to see a man eat. You know what I mean? You cook the food, he up there, it's like, oh, it's just so delicious. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Lies, but okay. You know, but I love that. And so at the time, you know, when I was married, he could eat. Like, he could eat, you know? And so, but me on versus, I don't eat. I eat until I'm satisfied. I don't like being full. I never have. And see, my mom, we grew up a little bit different. We weren't really, it was just a little different. Even to my aunt has 6 kids versus my mom has 2. Totally different. You go to auntie's house, if you want to eat, you better be in the kitchen when she says it's time to eat. Because out of 6 kids plus me, 2 of us plus some other, you won't get nothing. It won't be nothing left in there if you don't go, you know. But that was eat everything on your plate. My mom, it was different. It was like, you know, get what you want to eat. If you want some more, go get some more. But we wasn't trained to eat everything. So I say that to say I've never eaten like that. You know, I've never eaten to where I'm going to eat it all on my plate. But I know people who are like that because I'm sitting here looking. I can see you do a whole plate of food. What's that place that people go to? Georgia Brown's.
Sweet Georgia
Brown's. And somebody brought me a plate from there one time. I was like,
but see, you have to know in the Black community, that's a learned behavior.
that is so
right?
much, yeah.
It's
at
a
one
learned
time.
behavior
Yeah.
because our parents' came from, we
Yeah.
only got a little bit of this, so
You're
you
not
don't
wasting
waste
nothing.
that.
Right,
You don't waste
absolutely.
anything. So that your grandparent taught your parent, and your parent taught
Mm-hmm.
you, and now we're teaching our children. So it's something to be conscious of to break that cycle.
Do you think
break
it's
that
an
habit.
addiction or is it a habit?
It's an addiction. And it may not be for everybody. This is my personal
No, I'm just saying, like the difference between addiction and habit. Addiction and habit.
So
What is the difference between addiction and habit?
Let me chime in. So I've been an athlete all my life, and I lost my mother
I'm sorry to hear that.
when I just turned 20. I was in college playing football, and I just lost my mother. She passed away in a fatal car accident, and I had gained weight. I got up to 418 pounds.
Wow.
So, and it had nothing to do with eating. It had everything to do with the fact that I was eating at the wrong time. And because I wasn't eating constantly, my body stored everything. So it's a habit for some, it's an addiction for others.
Okay.
Like when you watching these TV shows, my 1,000-pound life and this and that and the other. So here it is. What I decided is that I would take my life back. I would get me back. And I would eat several times a day, 6, 7 times a day. Not full meals. So what I can, close your fingers, what I can put in the palm of my hand.
Oh, wow.
That's what you ate. Because, see, your stomach is only this big.
As your fist.
So,
yeah.
so
Is it really?
when you,
It is.
yes. So
Everybody's
when you,
stomach.
So when you overeat, what you have is an distended abdomen. So now, the reason why people have problems, health problems, is because that distended abdomen is pushing organs out of whack. And now your organs are not in proper place. They're straining to work, you know. And the whole thing is what was just the thing for me is I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I said, I'm not going to stick myself. I'm not taking metformin for the rest of my life.
That
So
metformin.
all praises be to God. God took over, and here I am 7 years later. You understand? Back down to my football playing weight.
You ain't no football way. You 50 years old. Stop playing.
I'm saying back down to my football weight.
Men always do that. You know, I still play. But you
No.
60, sit down.
I'm not playing. I said back down to my football weight.
I'm teasing
Yeah,
you.
but
you know I ain't no good, right?
but the
still
whole
get out
thing
here.
is that you
Toss some
know,
skins.
you can conquer this thing
Yeah.
because once I got it's not even what you put in your mouth.
So it was a habit with you. It became
It
a
wasn't-
habit for you not to eat anytime.
Man, I would
whenever.
eat once,
Okay.
I've been there.
and
You know that.
Yeah.
you know.
But you don't eat a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
We-
my
too
family
busy.
would be like, "What? He don't eat a lot. He just eat once." But that eating once is hurting you because when I ate, I would eat a whole plate.
Ah, not
You
just
see-
the hint. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So I eat to live. I don't live to eat.
Say that again.
Okay.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. I eat to live. I don't live to eat. So with that being said. What you do is you change you change your mentality. You ladies were. You change your mentality, and once you change your mentality, decision making changes. Your decision making change, your destiny change.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Decision making change.
Your
Your
destiny,
destiny
change.
change. I like that.
Yeah,
T-shirt.
all of that is affected. You know what I'm saying? So the way I think determines my mentality. My mentality determines the decisions I make about whatever it is I'm doing. And the decisions I make determines my destiny. Case in point,
Yeah, I
everybody
say that all
thought
the time.
well of Will Smith before he did something. His actions showed people something different
Well,
when he
I'm
went
on
up
the-
there.
I'm on the other side.
And
I-
well,
I-
I'm just
you know.
saying. I'm just saying what people. I mean, he's still cool in my book, but
Yeah.
I'm saying people decide who you are based off what they see you do.
That's true.
Correct.
But
That's
Will
how you
Smith
do
is
That's
it.
out
all I'm
there.
saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we understand that the decisions we make affects our destiny. I mean, come on now. You go out and rob a bank. That decision you made, that action you took is going to affect your destiny.
But
Your
if you-
destiny
but-
is Fed's time.
But if you knew you could get away with it, would you still do it?
No, that's where the constraint comes in.
Okay, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you knew you can get away with it and you still would go and do it, you still gonna live your life looking over your shoulder, wondering, did they figure it out? I just don't. I
Well,
refuse to live my life.
I
like
guess.
that.
Well, I wouldn't either. I'm not gonna rob a bank.
Nah.
But I guess I would look at it like this, or I guess it would be a question: if there was a sack of money when I left here in a duffel bag by my car,
I'm
would I
taking
ca-
it.
I'm taking
Would I count
it.
that as a blessing, or would I be like,
Oh, it's a blessing.
Somebody
all day.
lost $1 million.
See, and you know what? I often say I've seen news reports where a kid found a garbage bag full of money in a creek,
And they gave it back.
and you know he took it home to his parents and. Well, you know, Johnny, we're gonna hand this money
If
in.
any
And
of y'all's
they
last
call the
name is
law and-
Anderson and y'all belong
Nope.
to me,
Nope.
don't
Nah.
call them folks.
Look.
Call your mama.
I don't know who. Hey, it-
God is good.
It don't belong to the creek. If it belonged to somebody who was up to no good, it's mine now.
Yeah.
I count it as a blessing. Well, God, you knew.
Yeah, yeah.
just
And I'm gonna do good with it.
God works.
I'm
in
gonna do
mysterious
good with
ways.
it.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
gonna do good with
Okay,
that
so
money.
we've talked about sex addictions, we've talked about food addictions, we've talked about work addictions, phone addictions. What other addictions are there that people may not be conscious of?
Well,
Nice.
you
I
know,
think that people can be addicted to pain, not pain as in like, oh, they got 1 million tattoos or 1 million piercings.
Drama.
I think people can be addicted to, like
yeah.
I've heard that
being
too.
stuck in a bad relationship
Toxicity.
or
Is that a real word?
Toxicity?
That's
It
a word?
is now.
It's a real
Just
word.
created.
It's a word.
Let's go ahead and open up the Black Dictionary.
I think a lot of people
Akima just
deal
created a new
Put
word.
it on you. A lot of people deal with depression because
Yeah.
they're addicted to that
That
feeling
toxic.
of depression instead of going to get help. So I think that's a form of
I
addiction.
think
Yeah,
that's
it
a
is.
valid
That's
point.
that's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Because I've had conversations with people where I'm trying to redirect their thinking to look at it in a positive manner. and no matter what positive spin I
They
put
can't
on
see
it,
it.
they come back to a negative situation.
Yeah.
It is almost impossible
To talk to some
communicate
people.
to some people, to
Yeah.
somebody like
Man.
that. And
Right.
and they're so addicted to that cycle of trauma and negativity that they can't see any other way. So that's a good one, Destiny.
It is,
You-
but it's just like women who, have gone through, let's say, abuse. And I shouldn't say just women. I guess I'm a woman, so that's kind of what comes out. But women who have been abused, a lot of times they ask the question, well, you get out of this relationship that is abusive, but then you get another relationship that's still abusive. Then you get another relationship that's still abusive, or you stay. Why do you stay? I can understand it from both ends, based on the background of the, who people I've worked with. But is that something that, I can't even say it's a habit. Is that something that they're addicted to, or they're used to, or is it relevant? This is how I feel loved because of this. You know what I'm saying? How do you,
You know.
What is
Just like she said earlier, how things start at home.
Yeah.
So maybe they experienced it as a kid, so they think it's normal,
yeah.
and they,
Right.
Just-
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is they fooled themselves into thinking that's what love is,
Yeah.
because maybe in their home that's what they saw mama and daddy do. Daddy beating on mama. I know he loved me, and this and that and the other, and this and that and the other, and he's beating on me. So they think pain equates love.
A lot of people do
Just
think
like
that, though.
I
lot
had a
of
church
people do
member
think-
when I pastored the church back in Illinois. I had a church member who bought her children everything. So when she didn't give them something in their adult life, it was a problem because they equated money or gifts with love.
And I can kind of see that, myself being, I've been a single parent for a time, and I think I did try to give my boys all that I could, and I think it's because I did feel, hindsight, probably guilty that I didn't give them what they should have had, was a 2-parent household and raised the way I thought you should.
But that
be
wasn't your
raised.
fault.
And it wasn't. But at the same time, I look at like, oh, they're lacking this, but I know I can do this. I mean, as Audrey we've been friends for many, many years, and the first time my kids ever had chores is when her kids. You remember that?
Oh, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all this story.
And I grew up with chores.
Me and Akemi lived a block from each other.
I don't know how
Okay?
we keep living by each other. I have
And,
no idea.
and so one day, her kids and her came down to my house on a Saturday, and I got my kids doing chores. They
Every
washing,
Saturday is
they
what we did
washing,
at my mama's house.
They washing laundry, they changing sheets, we washing dishes, we
Man,
doing the whole
mopping.
9 yards. And Akemi said, your kids got chores? Yes!
How old were they? They was probably like 10, 12.
10, 11, 12 years old. Yes, they got chores.
And can I interject something? When you tell your babies to wash the dishes, that actually means clean up the kitchen.
It
Correct,
does.
not
But
just
we
wash
have
the
we
dishes.
had
Yeah.
to, yeah. But they didn't have, I mean, I still would. I'd
She
tell
was
them to pull
doing
this-
their laundry. She was putting their laundry up.
See, you gotta-
She was cleaning their room. What are you
You
doing?
know, old school parents taught their children how to be independent of them, not dependent on them.
I know this now. I do believe I coddled my
My
boys
mother
a bit
taught
more.
me how to iron, cook.
Now they all know how to do all that
Everything.
now.
Everything.
But that day they was like, I can't believe they was like, we don't even like Miss Audrey no more. She didn't. I promise you can hear them. I was like, oh, me done wrote a whole list. This one we about to make some changes.
Yeah, you made a chart.
I did.
You did. You did.
I did. She got the kids down there doing chores. I walked in the house and was like, oh.
This is what it looked like. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
But it does go back to like you say how we was raised.
Yeah.
So I was raised with my mother, and my mother did work a lot. Divorced. Parents were divorced at an early age. A whole different background. But she was, she worked a lot, and she wasn't in the home, and some other different things that we went through. So me and my sister was home a lot by ourselves, raising my sister. And so chores, and then my mom's like, her house is immaculate, like OCD. So we did clean the house. That was just, but I did.
It was
'cause I
understood.
it was definitely
It was
understood.
understood.
But I
Yeah.
definitely took on the role of, I guess, the older sister, because I kept house. And at the time, you could go I did the grocery shopping, kept house. I had a car when I was 14. I took care of my sister, got her dressed, did her hair. So I did a lot of the adulting at that time, So making my sister clean the house wasn't she ain't gonna clean the house now. But making her clean the house wasn't she know. But I just did it. So now when it comes to the kids, it's just something I felt like, say, growing up, when you have a husband and you have children, at one point, you know, the wife does this, the wife does this, and the wife does that, you know?
I'm guilty of that too.
You know,
I
but
be
now-
wanting to do everything for my son, knowing that he's fully capable of doing it.
Right.
But it's just that mother image to be like, oh, I got it. I
Okay,
got it.
but can I tell you what you're doing to him?
Man.
Yes, I'm
Crippling
enabling crippling him.
You're
I know.
enabling him.
I have done
He's got to be a
Right.
man.
Yeah.
I have done that, seriously.
Which and this is no pun against women. My mother did an excellent job with me, but she couldn't teach me how to be a man.
We know.
Absolutely.
We
We
talked
had that
about that.
conversation.
We
That's
talked about
something that she wasn't equipped to do. So all praise be to God. I had uncles, my older brother,
nice.
who would pop me upside the head, you know, all of that good stuff. So my uncles, God rest their souls, you know, and my father, even though him and my mother wasn't together, he was still in my life, you know. You know, my stepdad, you know, which was my dad too. You know, I had men in my life. So that geared me, but I always had chores. My mother always taught me, have an agenda. Write down what you're going to do every single day. Have an agenda. So that means there's not a moment in 24 hours
That you
will be
waste.
wasted.
Right,
Not
I
one
like that.
moment.
I like that.
Always have an agenda.
And I guess that would be, you know, when I'm thinking, let's say nurture or nature, you know, such as I was discussing, you know, me and my sister, it was me, you know, I don't know, since I was, I think, second grade, I've always wanted to be a mother. You know, they say stand up in school. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I told her, I said, I want to be a housewife and a mother. Everybody laughed at me. They really did. They laughed at me. You know, and I thought it was for real. I was just like, hurt my feelings. Like, well, that's what I want. I want to be a mom.
In second
You know,
grade?
yeah. You know, actually, I did. I wanted
So you
to
was
be-
watching June Cleaver, huh?
No,
The
we
Jetsons.
didn't watch a lot of TV like that. Our household, you know, we didn't. But I just wanted. I wanted 6 or 8 kids. I wanted 6 or 8 kids. I wanted the white picket fence and the husband. I did. I mean, that's just what I've always wanted. And so when it did come to my sister raising her, it came naturally. I loved it. I mean, you know, sometimes I'd rather be with my friends, but I loved it. Even when it comes to my cousins, I'm always that one people bring their kids to. Even come down, my purpose in life has been, I've been a foster parent. So I didn't have those kids biologically, but I was a foster parent for many years. And when it comes to, like I say, nurture or nature, you know, I think that I have a nurturing personality, although when I look at where I come from, it ain't nurture, in my opinion. It's more of, my life upbringing was so much different than how I live it. You know what I mean?
Right. And that comes back to that statement that I say all the time, that some people were raised in love, some people were raised in survival, and some people were raised in both. And you kind of adapt to whatever.
Right.
Your
Mine was
perspective,
survival.
your perspective on life is determined on what
Right.
atmosphere you were raised in.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that even with that, and I'm asking this question for everybody, even in that, I mean, I can see where there's been times where I can see where I could probably have had an addiction. You know, I've been around people who've done drugs. I could sit there and watch. It's just never been something. First of all, I was scared. You know, what if you get addicted to something and you don't have no more money? I used to think about that. That looked like an expensive.
So my
you know?
my addiction right now, outside of being successful and just working a lot, is shoes. Man.
Oh, then if we talking about a shoe addiction,
Shoes.
then
have a shopping
you talking to somebody who got 100 pair of shoes. Okay.
And you know.
And you know I do because you saw the room.
Right, but you know I got, I used to sell shoes.
I got a
So
So you
I've
can
had
imagine,
a serious shopping addiction.
Yeah, you can imagine, like, because I own my own style company, I get these shoes and
So do you have ladies' shoes? Don't tell me.
I can
Don't tell
get
me.
them. I
Don't tell me.
can get them, but I mean, it's like every order I got at least 2 pair in there for myself.
So why do you think shoes? Because I to be honest, and I'm gonna ask that question. I do believe if you say an addiction and being on a serious note, not
I wasn't
because
thinking
shoes,
about shopping,
I
but
do
that's
believe
serious.
that
Yeah.
I probably do have an addiction to shoes because I know how it makes me feel
Yeah.
when I put them on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I say, is that an addiction? And then I also know what makes me go shopping because even though I like nice clothes and stuff, I don't enjoy shopping, but I know when I go shopping, I get home and I know it's in the moments of where I'm feeling a certain way and I'll look at all those bags and like, I ain't need none of this, you know?
And
So-
I've done that.
You know, so why is it? Would shoes be something that because you have a lot because you like, or would shoes be something it's an addiction?
I like shoes.
See, for me, I didn't have a lot of shoes as a kid.
Yeah, neither did I.
I didn't. So when I got grown, I was like, I'm gonna have every single pair of shoes that I want. And it was not until I made my makeup room and took them all out the closet and put them in the box that I realized I had 100 pair of shoes. Do you know how much money
Yeah,
I've
over 100
wasted?
pair,
I
but yes.
do you know how much money I've wasted on shoes?
See,
right?
and I can't feel like it's a waste.
It is.
See, for me, I've God is always blessing me, so I give a lot away. I mean, I have like probably 20 pairs of shoes in my closet right now that I'm just getting ready to give away. And I mean softly worn Italian shoes and boots, leather, suede, you know, that I'm just gonna give
And I know
away.
they're nice. I
Yeah.
know they're nice. You dress
Yeah.
nice, got it together, and you got a whole line. Go ahead and throw your plug in there. Tell them
Yeah.
your line real quick.
Hey, I have a clothing line. You can hit me on Instagram at Dr. A.D. Hunt 1213. Hit me up, and I will come and dress you.
Let me tell y'all when I realized I had a shopping addiction. Not this year, but last year, Christmas was real good for my kids, right? So I started ordering Christmas gifts in October. So from October until the 1st of December, it was constant Amazon boxes coming to the door, right? I didn't realize that I was getting a high out of the Amazon packages.
Or opening it up. I've heard that
until
too.
Christmas.
The opening.
Correct. When Christmas was over, I realized, oh, ain't no packages coming to the door. I really felt some type of way, like, oh, I need to order something and that's when I realized, okay, you're probably addicted to shopping. You just
They talked about
you
that.
just shop for the nature of shopping, not because you need something.
Right. And I like with the shoes, and I guess I sit here because I did deep in thought as I struggle. Is it an addiction or is it I just like shoes? Because I used to sell shoes also. When I had my boutique Glamorous Diva, but I know the way that I feel when I put some nice shoes on. I love it.
Yeah.
I can wear something. You know me. My
And the
gonna
shoes
be-
make the whole outfit.
shoes just, but I do remember, like, I don't, that's why I say I struggle with knowing if it's an addiction or if it's something mentally, because when I was growing up, I grew up a little tomboy. I grew up not feeling pretty, not feeling like I belonged anywhere, that kind of thing, not feeling attractive and stuff. But I do know when I got older and I put on some nice shoes, it just
Made you feel
it's
some
just
type
like, wow,
of way.
you know what I'm saying? Even when I was playing in my mom's shoes, it's like, oh, I feel like somebody, So that may not, I don't know if that's an addiction or is that something that has to be, I need to lay down on somebody's couch and we need to talk about this.
See, I'm gonna tell you what I like, and it comes a little bit to that attention. When I catch somebody peeping my boot game, oh, it do something for me. Like, oh, okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Because I always get compliments on not just my dress code, but I always get compliments on my footwear.
Yes.
Always.
The footwear makes the outfit.
And I tell brothers all the time, you can have a $1,000 suit on,
With your
but them
shoes?
accessories that you put with that suit, if they ain't up to par, man, look, for me, so accessories to a suit is like a lining to a haircut.
Right,
they go
right.
It's
together.
got to be on point.
Right.
You can have a hot haircut, but a messed up line, and
Man.
all people gonna do is look at that line.
Right.
They ain't gonna say nothing about the haircut.
I'm gonna tell you, as a woman, I mean, I love a well-dressed man.
Yeah.
Smells good, but I do know one thing that I do see first will be the shoes.
Yeah.
Will be the shoes.
Yeah.
You do can have on a nice,
And I'm
whatever
not
it is
wearing
you
no
have on,
scuffed up
but then your
shoes and-
shoes ragged, it'd be like,
Right.
golly.
Oh, you're supposed to look at the teeth first.
Well, I
No.
see that, but the shoes.
I'm gonna look at your teeth. I'm gonna look at your teeth.
Nah, I gotta
And
see
your
how you-
and your
I gotta
feet.
see
Don't
how you
forget the
walking.
feet, sis.
I'm gonna start here and then I'm gonna go down. But I'm gonna look at your teeth.
And I'm not gonna say first or second, but it's important to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're right. You gotta have a nice smile. But me, I like a well-dressed man. It doesn't have to be suits and things like that.
Right,
But
right.
I do like,
Just care about yourself.
Yeah. I don't want you to have your shoes be run over.
Okay, well, we've talked about a little bit of everything tonight. Work addictions, sex addictions, phone addictions, shopping addictions, food addictions. We've talked about a little bit of everything tonight. we're going to go ahead and start to wrap it up. But before we do, I'd like to give some special thanks. I want to thank Millie's One Stop Shop. If you need t-shirts, transportation, tutoring service, Millie is your go-to. Akimi Watkins, your local realtor with Keller Williams, Great South by
Watkins Select Properties.
Watkins Select Properties, Destiny with D Wigs LLC. Did I get it right?
What?
The wig collection.
D
Wig
Wig
Collection.
Collection with LLC. So if you need a unit, Destiny is the one to see. And then we want to thank Dr. Hunt,
Yes, yes.
Master Barber and Stylist, Doctor in the Making, addiction counselor, just an all-around great guy, all-around entrepreneur. And then, of course, I'm going to shout out my nonprofit organization, Unique Pieces. We are doing great things in the community and look forward to serving you. Our next show is going to be about dating in 2023. We all got something to say about that. So tune in next week. Fourth Friday,
Yes.
which is March 24th.
March 24th.
March 24th at 7 o'clock, and we will talk about dating in 2023. We always are open to your questions, so feel free to drop them in the chat at any time. And we are offering amazing advertising opportunities for business owners. You may reach us at info@thelionessexperience.org. .com. thelionessexperience.com. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Hunt, for joining us
Thank
today.
you. Thank
It was a
you.
great show, everyone. Y'all have a great night.
Y'all have a great night.
Have a great night.